Hello again, it's Michael White from Aus IDentities, and I'm here to talk to you today a little bit about interpersonal relationships based on our system of personality profiling, Aus IDentities. Now, if you've caught up with the first couple of sessions that we did, which was basically an introduction to the history of the temperaments and also the different temperaments themselves, you'll understand that while Aus IDentities at first glance seemed like something new, something catchy and contemporary, well, which it is, it's actually based on very ancient principles. So ancient that we can trace its origins all the way back to the Greeks, the philosophers such as Plato, Aristotle, all played around with the four personality types, as did Hippocrates and Galen. Now, they did so to try and understand the human condition, and of course, relationships make up a huge part of the human condition. In fact, a lot of our happiness in life is based around the quality of our own interpersonal relationships. Of course, we've got a relationship with ourselves, which for me has become greatly enhanced now that I understand myself at a deeper level, which the temperament system has enabled me to do. But of course, when I look out into the world, I now have to try and understand others a little bit better and understand where they're coming from and why they behave the way that they do, in order for us to get along, to get into rapport with one another. So with interpersonal relationships, I'm not talking just about the one-on-one intimate relationships, man-woman or man-man, woman-woman, whatever your preference. What I'm talking about here is relationships with anybody where we stand to gain or enhance our lives, either personal or professional, by a deeper level of understanding of that other person. So that could be teacher to school child. It could be mother to father. It could be boyfriend to girlfriend. It could be brother to sister. It could be customer to salesperson, or vice versa, salesperson to customer. It could be business manager to the team leaders, or the team leaders to the department heads, or the department heads to their team. So wherever we're bumping up against other people is what I'm calling interpersonal relationships. You've got to understand what we're talking here is not just behavior. What we're talking about here is the motivation behind the behavior. That's why I like the temperament system so much. It allows us to get inside a person and understand why they're doing what they're doing, not just what they're doing. We can see what they're doing, we can see their behaviors, but the great gift of the temperaments of Aus IDentities is that it allows us to understand why they're doing what they're doing. And of course, to understand their way of thinking as well. Does it mirror and match ours? For example, if you're looking for a romantic liaison, if you want to get to know somebody better, how do you approach them? Sure, we've got the hi, how are you, my name's Michael, that sort of thing. But beyond that, what interests do a person have? So when we look at the different personality types, we'll see that when it comes to conversational communication, dolphins and eagles seem to be very much in alignment. They seem to be operating on a totally different wavelength to the kangaroos and wombats, who are operating on a different wavelength. Neither one better than the other, but just like a radio where you're able to tune into different stations, you'll have the ability to tune into your favorite station and then pre-program into the unit. We're like those units. We've been pre-programmed with a preferred way of communicating with others. And for the dolphin, who usually likes to talk in metaphors and using a global language, like we and all of us and everyone, we also talk in very theoretical language, living in the land of possibilities, what ifs and maybes. That is directly in alignment with the eagles, who are the most theoretical of the types, who most are considered the great change artists of the world because of their innovative and revolutionary way of thinking, which actually complements the dolphin's way of communicating very well. In fact, you could almost say that they are the same form of communication, albeit one is seeing it in an objective manner and one is seeing it in a subjective manner. But they're very much on the same wavelength, which is entirely consistent with the wombats and the kangaroos, who are both the pragmatists, the realists of the world. If you want to know what's going on, talk to one of those two, because they see what's occurring, they understand, they're taking in the raw data and they're not making quantum leaps in their own unconscious to kind of join the dots to see where everything's going. What they do is they offer us a greater understanding of what's actually occurring, because a lot of their conversation is going to be around what is happening, or what has happened, or what we are going to do. Not about how we could do something that's theoretical. It's actually about planning and organising, and yeah, it's very realistic in its nature. So I call the dolphins and the eagles the theorists, and I call the wombats and the kangaroos the realists, because one group is seeing what is and one group is seeing what could be, and that can generally drive quite a substantial wedge in between the communication styles of those types. So kangaroos and eagles, of course, well, they share some commonality. They both appreciate each other for their high-level functioning. What I mean by that is kangaroos will often become very good at something by repetitive behaviour. They do it and over again because they enjoy doing it, perhaps like a guitar playing or on the sports field. The eagle, on the other hand, if they decide to master something like guitar playing or sports, then their determination causes them to practice as much as the kangaroo who's doing it for fun. But the end result is still the same. They both get good at things, but for different reasons. But the communication style is a little bit different, in as much as, of course, we've talked about this, the kangaroo is actually taking things literally, and the eagle is expressing most things theoretically. So there's going to be a little bit of a bump in the road when it comes to communication there. Also, with the wombats and the dolphins, a lot of the behaviour of those two types is based around trying to do the right thing. Wombats are trying to do the right thing by the organisation or the group. The dolphin is often trying to do the right thing by their own values, their own internal driving system, or by the individual, or the individual circumstances. But they're both keen to do the right thing. However, when it comes to communication, dolphins tend to talk in ambiguities or riddles, or so it would seem to the wombats, who are both literal and very specific, using a very proper type of language. You know, if you want to understand proper English, you talk to a wombat, because the words that they're going to select are going to be properly used in the proper context and in the proper order. With the dolphins, the trouble is you get a lot of metaphors thrown in, which when taken literally serve only to confuse things. But interpersonal relationships can be experienced, or good interpersonal relationships can be experienced by all of the types with any of the other types. It just seems that the literature and life seems to point to the fact that dolphins and eagles get along better as a working couple, as a group. They also get along quite badly at times as well when it comes to a question of bottom line or values. But in other relationships, wombats and kangaroos seem to complement each other very well. But there's reasons for that. Some people call the dolphins and the eagles opposites. I actually call them opposites, but that's a whole different session, which I'm going to be talking about later on. And in the meantime, if you want to know more about interpersonal relationships, who's who or who's suitable for whom, then by all means feel free to contact us through our website, www.ausidentities.com.au, and yeah, we'll talk some more. Thank you for your time.